What I have been most intrigued about is the number of people building businesses to bring automation into places that have been overlooked. People are coming in and just going, I wonder if I can do that better.
Hey, it's E.B. Moss, and this is Season 2, Episode 50 of Insider Interviews, where you get the insider scoop on the business of media, marketing, and advertising. I'm getting the scoop here at South by Southwest in Austin. It's amazing because for the first time, Podcast Movement Evolutions Conference is pretty much a bona fide participant in South by Southwest here at Austin, thanks to Sounds Profitable. I'm here with the Podcast Academy, and I'm at a beautiful, beautiful booth that the Podcast Academy is co-sponsoring. So I'm going to be bringing in some female founders, female executives in honor of Women's History Month for my SheCam from Podcast Movement. Hey, it's E.B. Moss, and this is another episode. It's actually episode 50. Such a good round number. Love, especially to have Beth Mach here from Spacely Media. And we are at South by Southwest. We're outside thanks to the Podcast Academy, Podcast Movement. And I want to get right into this because you were gracious enough to come over here to the Skybox in Austin and meet up with me and talk about what's going on with your 4-year-old company.
Well, we were incorporated in 21, but we actually didn't really start to develop anything until 23.
So you're a toddler.
Yeah, we are very much so.
All right. So I love the name because, of course, it reminds me of Meet George Jetson. It's Spacely.
It is Spacely Media. Yeah.
What is it?
So it's actually an advertising platform, a marketplace for buyers and sellers to come together to discover, transact, and communicate for premium media. So, think of it as a kayak for media, if you will, bringing modern infrastructure to channels that have been really left behind in that way.
So is that where the definition of premium media comes in? Let's give that terminology as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't like to say traditional media because it has a negative connotation that it's old. It's no longer necessary. It's something nobody wants. And really, it's actually quite opposite of that. It's premium from the ability to connect with consumers differently.
Yep.
And it does take a little bit of a different process to transact in that part of the industry. We'd rather not create a negative. We'd actually really be able to promote it and really elevate it in the way that it should be.
I love that. And so you are the co-founder and COO.
I am.
So how do you operate, Miss Chief Operating Officer?
Well, my day-to-day is 52 different hats, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
There are 4 co-founders within Spacely Media, and while we each have a title, we actually all play somewhat overlapping roles to a degree. But yes, as you can imagine, the operations lead is somebody who is, not only looking at what the platform is doing, but also how the company runs. So, I had to learn how to use QuickBooks. I don't even know how to do that. So
no.
I do now.
No.
I do now. But it's been a really interesting transition from really being on the brand and agency side for almost 30 years to now moving into this new space of being in a startup. It's exhilarating and terrifying every day.
All at the same time. I want to get into a little bit more of the specifics. I want you to paint a picture of, as we call it, the value proposition. So you support both the publishers and the advertising buyers. Everybody basically can benefit from Spacely. Give us sort of the layperson description of what that means for which parties.
If I could, I'd love to give you a little bit of background of kind of why we thought it was important to develop this.
Absolutely, because it's always starting with the why. Why do you do anything?
Exactly. So it was really born out of frustration and, being in the industry, like I said, for a couple, maybe almost 3 decades, which is crazy to even think.
Okay.
And being in marketing and media, it kept on hitting me. And I always was like, why can we not solve for this? And so in advertising, especially digital, there's a ton of sophisticated tools.
Yeah.
And in, print and out of home and in venue, while incredibly important and still reaching millions and millions of people, it was really void of that more modern digital infrastructure. And so, buying in those channels today still looks like it did 20 years ago, where you have lots of PDFs and lots of phone calls and emails back and forth. And here, Spacely has really developed a platform to close that gap and to be able to bring a digital infrastructure to these channels that haven't had it in the past.
Now, I'm kind of terrible with the acronyms and I mess up my SSP, DSP kind of thing. Are you one of those?
We live kind of oddly in the middle, to be honest.
Okay.
Because we
you serve both. Yes.
So the publisher uploads, or the publisher or media owner, we like to actually really call everybody media partners.
Okay.
Because it's not just print and it's not just out of home, it's also in venues. So think concert venues, think stadiums, arenas, those types of things. And even maybe someday South by or Cannes, Lions, or, those types of events. But again, all the inventory is uploaded onto the platform. And the buyer then has the ability to discover, we like to say, see, like, and buy.
Okay.
And so it really gives them the opportunity in a very low friction, almost really eliminating the friction that has been traditionally part of that buying process, because you can do everything all on this platform.
Like self-curation on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, think about it as kind of media planning and buying in one place for these 2 channels.
Okay.
Again, that doesn't exist today.
Yeah.
And in future iterations, there will be the ability for buyers to actually integrate those Spacely platform into their own planning system.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's not just a standalone platform. It will be something that can be fully integrated into, known systems and established systems.
So you have myriad media partners.
Oh, yes.
You represent dozens, hundreds?
At our initial start, we had over 150 media partners.
Okay.
Mainly in the US, but also a few in the UK. So, English speaking, has been kind of that baseline, but it's not going to limit us in the future. And agencies and brands are, starting to raise their hand in really robust ways because they see that it's going to be, a great, easy platform for them to go in.
Thank you, Spacely. Okay. Yay. Okay, good.
Yeah. So we have hundreds of both national platforms as well as regional and local media partners. So really giving buyers the opportunity to dabble in with bigger publishers right now, like The Atlantic and Nat Geo, but also with some of the more local and regional titles. So it's really giving buyers a great opportunity to find those titles that are, the sellers may not actually have representation to be able to go to all of these different agencies.
You're democratizing it.
Yeah, so we're giving the opportunity for both sides to meet each other in a very easy, honestly, it's very easy and intuitive. It's just like any other buying experience.
In terms of digital, I'm going to use the word traditional, print, you're enabling the buying and selling of both.
Yes.
So both sides of it. I had Neil Vogel, who's the CEO of People Inc. on one of my shows, and I'll link to that. And he's a great
interview, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yay. He's very bullish on. Oh, absolutely. And what he's doing is he's building a strategy that straddles both traditional print and digital.
Absolutely.
And he's sort of bifurcating the way the content is positioned across those platforms. What's your feeling about the lifeblood of traditional print and how much you're selling digital versus print?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think brands these days are really they're coming back to the thinking and maybe even rebalancing attention in a different way. And they're looking and finding that environments like print, they really matter.
Yeah.
Right? They're strong storytelling. They're trusted.
They
right?
feel tangible.
They're tangible. They are something that's physical in this real world, right? I mean, I think, I often joke of like what was old is new, but honestly, people are, readers, users, people who are ingesting media like these two channels are kind of craving that, right? And so people are very much looking toward those places. It's really interesting in this journey that we've had over the last couple of years. There are quite a few titles that have closed shop many years ago that are coming back.
Yes.
It's so it's so mind-blowing.
Cool.
Yeah. And so it really reinvigorates the notion that people really still want to read. Yeah. They trust the journalists, they trust the authors.
Yep.
And I don't know, I kind of grew up with it, so I feel like, having a magazine in my bag or not just something digital really gives me a moment of reprieve and maybe a little bit of an escape when I'm so always locked into my screens.
I will say that I have been accused of being a little bit like the Collier brothers on occasion. You'll have to Google that. It's an old reference to someone who's a bit of a pack rat with her magazines.
Yeah.
To say
I have piles. The one thing I just wanted to add to that is modernization of these channels and the way that you can transact actually unlocks access. And I think that's a really important word for us, that we haven't really connected the dots with this media before. It really gives buyers the ability to find things differently, to understand inventory and pricing differently, and also unlocks speed. And so in this day and age where there's an expectation of moving really fast, these channels haven't always given you that speed in a way that Spacely will now bring forward for the buyer and the seller. Like it really reduces time, unnecessary time.
Yeah.
But increases the ability for the relationships, because this industry, it's built off of relationships. It's not just the text. So it really helps the relationships continue to foster and really start to think strategically versus having to, just have cans on keyboards and, eliminates a few of those, potential manual errors that happen as well. So
it sounds like the best of all worlds.
We think that. I think our competitors are really starting to see that. And, I hope that the industry starts to see that we're not just going back in time for no reason. We're really working to elevate the industry in a way that gives an omni-channel approach life again. So, yeah.
Now, speaking of seeing some things, we're here at South by Southwest, and it's kind of cool that podcasting has arrived here.
Yes.
But other than this channel, what other technology are you excited to learn more about, or who have you talked to?
I've had limited exposure. However, I'm part of a couple of, female founder groups. I'm part of a couple of advanced ad tech groups and those types of things. What I have been most intrigued about is the number of people building businesses not dissimilar to the goal we've set out, which is bringing automation into places that have been overlooked. Yes. So people are coming in and just going, I wonder if I can do that better. I wonder if I can do that easier. So
I really appreciate the fact that you brought up being a part of some female-oriented organizations. We're seeing much more with women in tech. Thank you, Shelley Zallis, and the female quotient and things like that. But we're not without our challenges. Yeah. And apropos Women's History Month, and you being on my SheCam,
yes,
what kind of challenges do you think either you're facing or you see still being faced by women rising and rising?
Yeah. I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say that one of the greatest challenges of being a female founder, co-founder is in the raise, right? And really, that is a podcast for, I mean, we could do hours on that. But I think one thing that I'd like to say is that every founder meets skepticism. However, when you are a female, it adds another layer to it, especially when the room has historically looked a little bit different. And so what I have found is that credibility actually grows from clarity. So if you fully understand the problem that you are solving for, and you can clearly articulate that, the conversation quickly changed from who you are to what you're building. And so making sure that you are extremely well-oriented with the why you're here really changes the game. Really changes the game.
Playing field. Nobody cares. Male, female, green, blue, anything.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Beth Mach, what a joy. Thank you so much. You're so inspiring. Mazel tov about Spacely Media. Yeah, that's great. And may the force be with you in your ongoing success.
Okay, with you, Edie.
Wendy Lund, I'm so happy to see you in yet another environment. We're in Austin.
I know. So much fun.
Yeah.
So many years. So much fun.
The cool thing about this, not only is it incredibly appropriate that you're here with me during Women's History Month, but you were on my podcast exactly 1 year ago this week.
Oh my God. It's kismet.
It is. And so much has kind of changed for you in the last year.
Yeah.
So let me see if I got this right. Even though I've known Wendy for a long time, I still get a little bit nervous when it's a friend. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but you shouldn't.
Okay, but you're a big cheese.
You know each other
too.
forever.
Big cheese and a friend.
And I'm besties with your sister.
That's right.
Hi, Lisa.
Right. So your big change is that you're now the global CEO of Allison Worldwide and the Vice President of Health.
Vice Chair of Health.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Vice Chair of Health for Stagwell. So, wow. How did that come about?
How did that come about? That's so funny that you asked that question. I was talking to somebody there who I adore and love, and we were just having a regular conversation. And she said, would you ever think about coming over here? And I was like, yeah, you guys are doing a lot. There's a lot of momentum. And I really, really wanted to go back to running an agency. You know, I ran an agency for 11 years.
Yep.
And I loved it. It was one of the best experiences of my life. You know, of course, running an agency has its good days. It has its days. But the best thing about it is the people and us working together as a community. And I miss that so much, you know, building a business. So here I am back in it.
Well, we should share a little bit about your background in addition to running an agency. And I know you were at WPP twice, back and forth, and everybody wants Wendy back. But we mentioned my sister, and you guys met at National League for Nursing. You were doing marketing. My sister was doing communications. You've done Planned Parenthood, but really you've had such a great core competency in women's healthcare and marketing healthcare to women.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, as you corrected me, Vice Chair of Health for Stagwell.
No, not vice chair, man. Vice chair. Got rid of the man.
No, I didn't say man.
No, I know. I got rid of it.
She got rid of the man. Yes. See, women's health. I love it. So Vice Chair of Health, that is your nod to your pedigree in healthcare.
Passion.
But tell me what Allison Worldwide is.
So Allison is this amazing communications firm. They do a lot of different things. I think the places where I think we really excel is a traditional communications agency doing all the cool campaign work. They won at Cannes last year. They won a Lion, which is super exciting. They have a very diverse group of clients. They also excel in media and influencer, and we also excel in experiential. We have this very cool acquisition that we acquired a year ago in London, and they do all experiential. They're doing such cool work. So we have 3 different areas we can play in, and that makes us very diverse and the ability to work with a lot of different clients across a lot of different areas. So health is one of them, of course, but we have consumer, corporate, technology. And our client list is amazing. And the clients I've met so far are awesome.
Do you have a preference between general market, let's say, and marketing, healthcare? And do you incorporate messaging to women in everything you do?
I think I incorporate messaging to humans in everything I do.
Love that.
So I feel really privileged because I have this very long background in marketing, which most of it was self-taught. But my background actually was I have a master's in women's history. So this is a big month for me. So it's really all about talking to humans. And, the first part of my career, as you said, nonprofit side, where big part of that, even though we didn't call it that back then, was storytelling because of my master's in history. So, originally I thought I'd be a professor of history, but I wasn't. And I fell into health and I fell into marketing. And then as part of the marketing work that I did, I fell into earned media because it really was all we could afford, right? It's kind of free.
Yep.
And then I wanted to basically spread my wings and do more. So that's what led me to the agency side.
Okay.
So when you ask about marketing, communications, the marketing part of my job really set me up to be a communicator. And the communicator part of my role set me up to go back to marketing. So I just feel really, really excited and blessed that I can bring all these things to the table. And the cool thing is coming off of more of a marketing role in my last two jobs, I'm able to see at Allison Worldwide all the different opportunities to work with clients. Like my head, every time a client talks, it's like buzzing. I'm like, I have an idea. I have this, I have that. Wait, does that fall into communications? Well, everything to me falls into communications.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what we can do differently.
And everything also sort of falls into marketing. As humans, we always want to know what's in it for me. And so when you're sharing a brand's message or trying to get their news out, you're thinking with a marketer's hat on of how can I communicate that value proposition in a way that's going to resonate with an audience. So your sort of omni-channel career experience all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, I think going in-house for me was that big aha, because coming off of doing so much healthcare marketing over the course of my career, we did a lot of talking, but not a lot of listening.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really understood when I went in-house was that women, nobody really heard them, listening to them. And there was so much going on with women and their health that we could do so much for.
Yeah.
So we opened the mic, we created a mic as our global symbol. And that really got me focused on learning from listening and then leaning in to what women were saying and trying to find the right place for them. But back to what I was saying before, it's not just about women. I mean, women's health will definitely be my passion till the day I go.
Okay.
But men, one, are incredible ally with women that we need. And two, like you think about prostate cancer and all kinds of things that men go through. They don't like to talk about it as much, but they need just as much support.
Yeah. You were a co-sponsor of She Media, and Allison Worldwide did a lovely event here at South by Southwest. What's the buzz in the industry about how we're either using technology or hearing messaging differently in terms of getting the word out to women?
So glad you asked that. So obviously AI is the tip of everybody's tongue, and it's actually been all day. I haven't heard the word AI all day, except about ChatGPT. And now AI, obviously AI plays a huge, huge role in helping women because, being able to bring data together much faster, being able to communicate in the right way. But at the end of the day, it's also, steeped in emotion. And if you look at women's health right now, we're dealing with the good, the bad, the ugly, right?
Yeah.
The good is all about what's happening now with people in menopause and having a home cervical cancer test and all this innovation that has happened that are really, really geared towards helping women. The bad is that we're still in a phase where we're not fully driving women's health the way we should be. We're 51% of the population. That means we should get 51% of the attention. And we're not. I mean, there's many women's conditions like endometriosis. I had that when I was young. And many women now are still suffering. And then the ugly, well, we just need to look around us. We're in Texas, and I'm not going to say more, but there's lots of things that women here need because of some of the things that have happened politically over the past few years that have not only led to women's reproductive health issues, but infant mortality issues, maternal mortality. Right. It's like, snowballing, right? So hopefully over the next few years, we can turn the tide on that and push back the clock.
Yeah. Beyond women's marketing, women's healthcare, I know that Allison Worldwide also embraces some other pro-social initiatives. So that's a nice through line for you too.
What I'm very excited about is we are one of the few agencies that still has a purpose practice. And that purpose practice, because why shouldn't we have purpose? One, we should stand behind causes. There's so many causes today that need support. And two, we have generations of people where we are that want to work in more purpose-driven work. So I think it's really important that we keep these things going and not to hide in the shadows doing it. And some of the work we're doing there is around mental health and other areas, but the mental health around, preventing suicide, which we know is rampant in this country and around the world. So I was like pleasantly really surprised to see all the purpose work working with different foundations. I'm going to see some of them next week. So that's all good.
Wendy, last question. And this is kind of a through line these days because I'm here as part of Podcast Movement, and thank you to the Podcast Academy for setting up this amazing booth. And we have cool technology with Nemano, but we're really fragmented as an industry, and it's really hard. You're in communications. You're trying to get the message out for myriad clients. But with all of that media fragmentation, how do you advise brands on growing trust and growing brand love?
I think all of the panels I've been to has had this thread running through this, right? Like, how do we remain or become culturally relevant, get people to fall in love with us, stamp the heart on our chests? And I think if I were going to say two things that really have resonated is the whole idea, and we've been saying this for a long time, but I think people can do a lot better with this, which is being real. I think the Super Bowl, a lot of the advertising coming out of that, I was excited. I was the only marketer in the room when we were like all together as friends. And I was like, wow, that was a good ad because it spoke to me.
Yeah.
The second where I think we have a huge opportunity is around building community. I think brands in general have shied away from this because they expect other people to be doing it. When I heard our team this morning and heard Elf speak and Dexcom speak, their success really was in the fact that they've built these communities where people feel like they're part of something. My favorite value has always been around belonging. And I think we really need to interrogate in companies and externally when we're dealing with customers, do they feel like they belong? And to me, that is so sticky and something we really need to focus on.
Wendy Lund, I know we're friends outside of the industry, but you always make people feel like they're part of your community.
Oh, thank you.
Just the best. Thank you so much for joining.
I catch you if I didn't have a cold.
Well, work on the healthcare then.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I promised you that we were at this fabulous booth that was co-sponsored by the Podcast Academy, by Sounds Profitable. We're here at Podcast Movement, which is a part of Sounds Profitable. And who do I have? The head of communications for Sounds Profitable, Molly DeMellier. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm here in part because of you. Thank you so much. It's really fun to be sort of a part of the team of Sounds Profitable. Your co-founder, Brian Barletta, and I go way back. And now you're in the hot seat.
Yes.
How long have you been at Sounds Profitable?
So it was March. So since January, going on month number 3, but I have been in the podcast industry for close to 5 years now. I spent 4 years at Acast, which is of course a major podcast hosting distribution network across all of the world. Actually.
I love them.
And then after that, I went out on my own with Sunday's PR and was doing just old school PR communications for what ended up being still a lot of companies in the podcast industry because our mutual friend, Brian, of course, was sending clients and many of them were in the Sounds Profitable Partner Network.
You got a lot.
Yes. And of course, who was my main client, but Brian. Sounds Profitable. And said, why don't you just come do this here?
Yeah, exactly.
And
cut out the middleman.
Exactly. And now we're on the path to world domination.
I'm terrified. But before you dominate the world, tell us what it is that you're going to dominate with. Give us the little mission statement of Sounds Profitable.
I think the beauty of Sounds Profitable is just the connection that it brings. You know, you walk around South by today and everyone is just lighting up of the people that they're in a room with and the new people that they get to meet and the old friends too. And, you know, I think coming to South by was for those new connections as much as it was for continuing to build the foundation of this community. Podcasting is really taking off, and it's the people that power it. And for Brian, for Tom, for the Sounds Profitable team, it is about continuing to do that and the networking opportunities that we provide. So the merger with Podcast Movement was just influential in that, because it really brought us here and closer to Podcast Movement. But I'm actually taking off for London for Advertising Week Europe. So on that path to world domination, we can bring this to another market.
That's amazing. And I know that having known Brian since the early stage startup days of it, it's quintupled perhaps in size. You have so many key partners. You have 24 of them who are participating on the stage just behind this faux wall at a major conference center here in Austin. And what do you think is in it for being a partner of Sounds Profitable? What did they get out of it, and what do your members get out of it?
So there's a lot of different things. There's just the networking itself, which we've talked about. There's the consultation from Brian, who I think is, if not the most knowledgeable person in this industry, is easily in the top 5, even on his worst day.
I want to explain that for 1 second. What Brian Barletta does is he literally gets on the phone and talks through problems with each and every one of his partners. And he'll give you focused eartime, brain power, input, insights. It's really a remarkable gift.
It is. And then he knows the person, not just who can help with the problem.
That's right.
There's the solution.
That's right.
And he has it so quickly for people. He just has such an encyclopedic knowledge of this space that how quickly his brain works is terrifying.
So true.
But then, now we have Tom Webster as well. I've been a partner for years. Wonderful. And he brings this entire research arm to the business. So
From Edison Research, where he developed the Share of Ear report.
Yes. And actually, a couple of years ago, I was on a flight home from Podcast Movement. I think it might have been Dallas. And I was reading the book, The Power of Habit. And there is a chapter in there about a researcher named Tom Webster. And it's fascinating of actually how the song Hey Ya became so popular. And I texted Brian from the flight and I said, is this one and the same Tom Webster? And he said, sure is. So if you would like to, look up some of Tom's work, buy that book, one of my favorite books. And then that was, I think, the first time I talked to Tom. I sent him a strange email. It was like, thanks for making Hey Ya, part of my middle school dances. And now he's my boss. So full circle. So he brings in decades of research knowledge to the space for partners. So, if they just want to sponsor a piece of research that's important to them, or they want to dive into something specific, it's really just runs the gamut of what he can do. And then he can also go in and provide the insights to that research. So you're not just getting raw numbers back and trying to figure out the game of Tetris of where to put
Y, X plus Y equals Z.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then now you bring in this events element and, okay, how do we bring that research into what we're trying to do on stage to really root the story in data? Because we know that's what's so compelling from a media perspective. We have a bunch of reporters walking around here today. So I happen to be sitting with one. So, how do they then bring their story out beyond this little room? And data just becomes so important in doing that. And then I joined just a few months ago.
Positioning, the jazz hands, as I like to call it.
Exactly.
Good.
So now to help bring marketing and communications consultation to our partners, we also now offer a PR agency to partners. So we have some retainer clients. There's 5 right now that I support. And then all of the panels here, Brian and I have helped inform what to say on stage. And then that's where Tom, again, comes in with the research. How do we boost this up with all the data we're sitting on? So it really just, I describe it as almost building an ecosystem. Of how each one can sort of power another, and then how our partners can then do that for each other.
Got it. Molly, an amazing download. Speaking of the download, which is your podcast with Gavin Gaddis. But what a great download. And I just want to wrap it up because I want to pay homage to Women's History Month. And you're in such a key role now and you're a female leader now at Sounds Profitable. What kind of challenges do you think women in media are facing these days? And is there a way to overcome it that you have a good anecdote about?
So I think there's a lot of challenges for women. I think especially particularly in the US, one of the biggest fears that I see in women in my age group is the cost of childcare is making it too expensive for women to stay working.
Yeah.
And a big fear that I have is that women will leave professions not by choice, but by force. And so one of my goals is to make sure that I am in a position of power that to my future family that I have to be working for us to be able to provide, because I know that there's going to be little eyes watching me and they need to see a woman in power. And my biggest fear is, what about the children who see their mom who didn't have a choice?
Yeah.
And how does that set women back? Because if you can see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
So for me, my next goal, and we've actually spoken about this, Brian and I, of, okay, now how do we bring what we're doing and bring student populations in to help educate them about what they can be in their careers? And for me, I'm so passionate about elevating women particularly, so that women are inspired and they know that it's not just a man's space. And especially in podcasting, we've all identified that it has been a very male and very white space. So how do we change that?
Yes.
And I think just also being in media and communications, there's such a powerful place to do that. Beyond the jazz hands, I'm also the puppeteer. So who do I put on stage that is going to inspire that next person to know that they can be there?
What a great point. And it's a great point to end on, because I think it's a high note. You're elevating not only women and all kinds of people in podcasting, but the industry itself.
Mm-hmm.
Molly, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you got some good insider scoop from this episode of Insider Interviews with me, E.B. Moss. If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/mossappeal. And I hope you'll follow Insider Interviews on social media and let me know if you have a question or a suggestion for a next stellar guest in media, marketing, and advertising. Speaking of stellar, my theme music was composed and performed by the incomparable Grammy-winning John Clayton. If I can help you with your company's podcast, please find me at mossappeal.com. Thanks again for listening.